Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. Discover yourself, break out of mediocrity, and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Here's your host, Kirsten Tyrell.
Hello, Marvelous Moms Club. Thank you for tuning in today. I am joined from somebody all the way from the UK. This is Veena V with Mom to Millionaire. She is a podcaster extraordinaire. I totally nailed
I like
it.
that. It's like a little rap.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's break it down. We need a beat.
No, I was going to try them, but
We're not
I'll
that
actually
cool.
let you into a really big secret about me.
Okay.
When I was younger, I used to be a rapper.
Oh, really?
This is it's
I
quite
can see
embarrassing, but that's what I used to do.
Well, you're pretty cool, so I can see that being something that you've done. Very, very interesting fact about you, though. We'll put that on the show notes. Is there anything online that I can show everybody you rapping like 15 years ago?
There is actually a video from many years ago with me rapping against a celebrity.
Oh, wow.
But I am so bad.
I bet
ridiculous.
you're not.
Yeah, you will cry when you watch it.
Oh my gosh. Please send it to me. That's going on the show notes. Everybody, you can check out Veena rapping. Anyway, so this is Veena. I caught her podcast probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago by now. This is our second time recording this call because we had technical difficulties. So like I told her, I'm not complaining. I get to talk to her again because she's amazing and fabulous. And I mean, listen to that beautiful voice that we all get to hear. I asked you what you thought of my voice, and you said, "You just all sound so cute. Americans just sound cute."
You do. It's all like really, every time I hear an American, I'm just like, "Aw." And you always say these like same things. You always say like, "Oh, that's a great question." That's what I've noticed. Americans always say that. It's really funny.
Oh my gosh, it is so funny. It makes me feel like, see, there's different dialects for your, accent.
Yeah.
But even here, I feel like I'm talking like a hick or something, like when compared to your beautiful, rich, eloquent voice. So it's very intimidating.
Really?
Anyway, I caught Veena's podcast when I was washing dishes one day and was just kind of searching through other mom podcasters to see what was out there. I hadn't been doing my podcast for very long at all, and caught an episode of her talking about being overwhelmed and all these different projects she had going on. And then she talked about her 6-year-old son and how he's just a little bit crazy, and people spend 15 minutes with him and they give her the look, and the look that I am very familiar with too. Like, how do you do that every day? And to yourself, you're thinking, I don't know. I just have to. This is my life. So I dropped everything I was doing. I literally went to the computer with wet hands and started looking you up and contacted Veena, and I said, you have to be on my podcast. So here we are.
I'm glad we've bonded over our children,
Our crazy
about them
children.
being energetic. That's
Uh-huh.
how I like to call him, rather
That's better
than
than
saying
crazy.
horrible words. Yeah, I call him energetic.
That's a good descriptive word. I'm going to have to stick to that one.
Yeah, it sounds much nicer, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't typically call him crazy to everybody, but people who really know him, I say, yeah, it's pretty crazy. He does some crazy things, but anyway, so Veena, you have a really interesting story. Tell everybody a little bit about how you became a mother and how you almost didn't become a mother.
Yeah, so I kind of started my working life in the radio industry. So I was a radio presenter and radio producer, which I think in America you call is it DJ? Disc jockey, I think you call it over there. So when you're basically on the radio. So I was doing really well in my career. I just won an award from a big channel over here in the UK. And literally that same week, I won an award. I was like top of the world. I found out I was pregnant. And obviously pregnancy for a lot of people is a really happy time. But for me, because it was completely, and I mean completely, out of the blue, completely unplanned, shock pregnancy, it was a kind of time of really amazing happiness for me that my career was going so well. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I was literally like, oh my God, what on earth am I going to do? And I always said, when you kind of talk with your girlfriends and you're like, oh, if this ever happens, what would you do? So in the past, when we used to talk about getting pregnant, as you do randomly, we would say, what would you do if you ever got pregnant? And I would say, I would obviously keep it. But when I got in that situation and it was real life and it was really happening to me, I really had to question everything because I was, only 21 at the time. I wasn't really with my son's father as well. We'd literally just broken up, so I wasn't even in a relationship, and it was just really bad timing and not an ideal situation. I didn't want to bring a child into the world where, I didn't have loads of money. It just wasn't a stable environment. You know how you plan it when you get married and, you've got a house and it's all, happily ever after. And that was complete opposite for me. So yeah, it was just a really difficult time because I did not know what to do. Obviously, the end of the story because we've just talked about it. I did keep the baby, luckily.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a really challenging time for me. I would never want to be in that situation again. And I completely understand people when they're in that situation, like you are in two minds, you just don't know what to do.
Yeah. And the outcome has been amazing. I mean, looking back now too, where you say, I didn't have the things, I didn't have the ideal situation. Do you think that looking back really matters now that you are a mom and you see that even if you were ready right now, would you still be in the ideal situation?
I'm not gonna lie, it is. I could pretend, but I'm not gonna lie. It's so difficult being a single parent, especially in my situation. Trying to run a business at the same time. Money still, I'm still not making a huge amount of money at all. It's literally you're living month by month, trying to, make the best of a situation. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't change it for the world. I love my son so much. I can't imagine my life without him. And looking back, I did make the right decision, but at the same time, it is difficult on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
But, at the same time, we have amazing days. Today, we've had a great day. But I think it's the same for every mum. You have your ups and you have your downs.
Yep.
Yeah, I think everyone can relate, those days where you're like, oh my God, what is my child doing to me? We are happy at the end of the day, which is good. But yeah, it hasn't been easy. I'll put it like that.
Having a baby, though, especially when you're not ready for it, kind of lights a different fire and expectation for yourself, too, where maybe if you hadn't had a baby and you'd kept on the track, you would have had serious success. But then that kind of almost ignites you in a different way where it's like, well, I have to do this. It's not a choice. And we talked on our last call, you can go there again, how you were working a corporate job, working for a business, working for a company, and you were seeing your son very limited hours during the day. So you made the sacrifice and put forth the effort to start your own business. And while you're still it's growing, you're mom to millionaire, you're still in the middle of the mom to the millionaire part.
Exactly. We're still very firmly on the mum section. It's been, I've had loads of different situations. So, obviously when I first had my son for about 2 years, I was working, but I was still doing a lot of media work. So I might have been working for a few days. My son, that's right on cue now. My son is here.
Mum, is there some leftover balloons?
Yeah, go downstairs
So
and
I can blow up a balloon and put it on my back like balloon zombie.
Okay, good. Do that.
That's so cute.
Me and Kirsten were actually talking before recording this podcast. This is the real life of a mother. I think everyone will relate to this, where we've both of us
locked our children away.
Yeah, we've tried to set up our children with the TV, with toys, with I bribed my son with chocolate, which hasn't worked because he's come up here. So as a working mum, I've been through kind of all the different situations you can be, kind of the work from home mum, which obviously I'm doing now, the stay at home mum, the working freelance, so you're kind of doing bits of work here and there. But yeah, at one point it did get really tough and I was literally making nothing. I think 1 year I must have made about £250, which is about $400, I'm guessing.
Wow.
In a whole year. So when you're making that much money, it's not obviously that does nothing. Then I had to make the tough decision. I'm like, I can't try and do what I'm trying to do in the media industry. I'm gonna have to go and get a job. And for me, in a way, it was a step back because while I had this great career in the media, I had to take a massive step back and I had to get a receptionist job in a corporate company. So that was really hard because not only was I kind of moving backwards in my career, I also wasn't seeing my son. My son was in childcare from really early in the morning all the way until 6 o'clock at night. And you know what it's like, by the time you pick him up, you come home, he would have already had his dinner at the childcare. So, you know, by the time we get home, it's literally bath him and put him to bed. And that was the time I was spending. And, you know, I did that for about a year and a half, and I just literally had enough. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
All my money is going on childcare. All my money's going on the travel, because I had to obviously travel to get to where I was working in London. And it just wasn't. I literally just thought, hold on, I do not want my life to be like this. I do not want to be in a job that's, you know, I don't even want to do that job. It doesn't make me happy. I mean, it was a fantastic company, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I wasn't seeing my son, and I wasn't making the kind of money that I wanted. And yeah, it was basically out of frustration, I left. And that was a big risk, because you're kind of going to nothing.
Yeah.
Even though I knew I was setting up my own business. But I think, as a lot of people know, in these first couple of years, it's not about the money, because you just it's a risk at the end of the day. And, you know, hopefully in a year's time, if I can come back on your podcast then, hopefully then I will be well on my way to a millionaire. But, you know, right now it's all about me establishing my different brands. I've got kind of 3 different online businesses, which I'm developing at the moment. And I'm still really in that startup phase.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as any mumpreneur knows, it is a massive challenge.
Totally. But I love that you were, at least, even if you were like on the, you know, the bare minimum end, wouldn't you rather be on the bare minimum end, still very much in the mum phase and doing it from home, than in that situation before? I mean, you know, you'll get to the money eventually. You know it's going to come, because you have the right, you know, you have the right tools and you're taking the right steps. But that's 10 times better than the life you were living before. Even,
oh, definitely, yeah.
Probably have the same amount of money, if not maybe a little bit more. And you have your time, and time is super valuable, right?
Oh, yeah, completely. And I'm much more happier now. You know, putting the money to one side. In terms of, you know, I'm seeing my son more. I can literally do what makes me happy.
Yeah.
I can talk to amazing people like you. I can, you know, go and meet other people in London, have meetings, like just think about all these different ideas.
Right.
That I want to do. And, you know, when I was in a job before, you couldn't do it. You can maybe work on your dream, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours a day maximum when you're a mum. So yeah, I know it will all be worth it. Totally. I really believe that everything will work out how it's supposed to. Yep.
And you're putting the work in too, and that's the big key. You know,
yeah, I'm not just sitting here dreaming about it, going, yes, I think I'm going to have a company. I'm actually, I'm not going to lie as well. Like at the beginning, I was a bit more kind of, I don't want to use the word fluffy, but it was more like, you know, when you're really excited by the idea of having your own business. But literally these last couple of months, I'm being very much more strategic. So every podcast I do, every YouTube video I film, there's always a goal behind it on how it can kind of add to my brand. Right. Where before it would just be like, oh, I just, you know, do this video, but it never really had a meaning towards it. So I'm being a lot more strategic now in what I'm doing to keep pushing myself and pushing the business forward as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely different stages of being an entrepreneur, and you're probably like hitting the clarity phase where you're like, okay, I know what to do with all this that I've been working on. Now I know I know where I'm going.
Exactly. Before it's like you do know where you're going, but you don't.
Yeah.
Like,
I know my goal.
Yeah.
Don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I know that it's there. No, I love it. Let's see where you're at in a year. Our goal is to become millionaires by the end of the year. By December 31st.
Oh,
wow. We are nowhere near. We have not even begun, really. Oh. We've started. We've made some money online, but we're still so new. So I read the book. I may have already talked about this on a podcast episode, but I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay. A lot of people have mentioned this to me.
You need to read it.
Is it literally like a life-changing book?
It really is, yes. And his other book, I mean, he's been gone a long time. He wrote these books in the 30s, 40s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is like old classic stuff. He's talking about old people who accomplished, you know, Henry Ford, people who did a lot of great things. I mean, these are American people, but you may still know some of them. And anyway, so that one, and then Outwitting the Devil. Outwitting the Devil was my first book that I read that got me into the whole mentality of, oh my gosh, the world's so much bigger than I thought it was. And I have so much more power than I thought I did. But yes, Think and Grow Rich, there's a section in there where there's a pastor or a preacher or something who needs $1 million to start a school, a technical school, so people can go learn these skills. And he like hem-hawed about it for 2 years, and then he finally said, I'm going to have $1 million by the end of the week. And he did a sermon on it. It was just this, it's a really cool story, but at the end of the day, somebody after his sermon came and said, I really love what you're going to do with the money. Come to my office tomorrow and I'll give you a check for $1 million. So...
Wow.
You know, and he just talks about set yourself deadlines and make them kind of hard. You know, don't say like, I'll be a millionaire someday. Say,
Yes.
I'm going to do it by this day. And you most likely will. And even if you fall short of that goal, wouldn't it be better to fall short of $1 million than like, I'll make $100,000 this year?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think some people might think, oh, it's unrealistic. But I actually believe you need to set big goals because otherwise it doesn't motivate you enough. Like one of my businesses, I sell tripods, as you know, and you know, for me, my aim is to have a 1 million turnover business with my tripods.
Yeah.
But before I was thinking, I just sell a few thousand, but it didn't make me. I know a few thousand to a lot of people, that is still a big number. But then I was thinking, it doesn't actually motivate me. No. What motivates me is selling like, okay, I'm going to sell 50,000 tripods. That is what makes me motivated and want to, do all the marketing and really push it. Right. So I really do believe in having those big goals because you might actually achieve it if you work hard towards it.
Yeah, I think you totally can. It's all your mindset, right? And that's what I love. I love that can apply to motherhood even too. Like you can tell yourself, oh, I'm just an okay mom. Oh, I'm not really perfect at this, or I don't do this as well as so-and-so. But if those are things you don't care about, I mean, before you had a child, I mean, your situation's a little different because you're kind of thrown in, but you still dream about it and think about it like, oh, I'm never going to do that when I'm a mom, or I'm going to, go above and beyond in this regard. And then somewhere along the way, it just becomes a lot easier to be lazy with it and mediocre. And we realize we're not happy at the end of the day when we don't put forth that 110% towards being the best mom we can possibly be.
Right? Yeah, definitely.
We don't have to be perfect, but we can like strive for that every day. And then somehow we'll start achieving that. We'll get closer and closer.
Yeah, and like you said, it is all to do with your mindset, like how you wake up in the morning and just how you interact with different people. Yeah. And it just makes such a difference. Yeah,
you should join our book club. We're starting a book club on Marvelous Moms Club. We're reading The Miracle Morning as our first book, and it talks about getting up a little bit early every day and how much more you can get done when you change your mindset early in the morning. So,
oh my God, this is what I'm literally doing at the moment.
Really?
I wake up at 5:30 every day now. Sometimes it's 6 o'clock. It just depends what time I've gone to bed. But usually 5:30 because for me, in the morning is when I'm most productive and most energized. And plus when I wake up at 5:30, I get at least 2 hours of work done then before my son wakes up.
Right.
Because usually, after I talk to you now, Kirsten, my brain is like fried in the night. Seriously, past 8 o'clock is like, my brain is like, why are you still awake? Like you can't do this anymore. Because I used to try and work in the night and I would be so unproductive. Sometimes I have little bursts of energy where I can keep on going and I'm really productive. But I would say 9 times out of 10, there is no point me working past about 10 o'clock in the night because my brain is literally, what are you doing?
Yep.
You are not you're just sitting on your computer, just staring at the screen.
Yep.
That is all
you are doing nothing productive. You feel like you might be, but you're really not doing anything.
It's so true. I'll literally be even on YouTube doing something. I'm like, what are you actually doing on YouTube now? You're like, you're not doing anything.
I'm doing product research.
Yeah.
Marketing research, right?
Yeah, watching a beauty video, doing product research.
Oh, I love it. You are so fun to talk to. I'm excited to see where your journey takes you, and excited. I know I've loved reading some of your stuff and listening to your podcast. Like, you want to do these amazing things with your son. And we talked last time about one of your dreams, like to come to America and take him to Disneyland. And I'm going to totally be your personal host when that happens.
Oh my God, please.
Let's make it a goal. Like this time next year, let's be like planning your Disneyland trip to come out here. You can stay with me.
Yay!
Let's do
I
it.
love that. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to write that down now.
Do it. Yes, put it on
I'm
your
actually
goals.
going to, yeah, I need to, because it's so, I don't know what it is about America, but literally since I've been a little girl, I've always dreamed of coming to America, and I've never come.
Oh, well,
I've
now you
never
have
been
a friend. You have a friend to stay
Exactly.
with.
I
live
have
in
a
beautiful
reason to
place.
come now.
See, and I'll have a goal. I have to have a bigger house by then because I need to have room for you guys to come and stay in your own room.
And you need a lot of space for my son. Like, he runs around like a,
Yeah.
like what do we say at the beginning of the podcast? Energetic.
Energetic, yes.
Not a maniac at all. He's energetic.
I always tell people, if you think your house is baby proofed, have my son come over and you will find things you never imagined that children would get into. He's totally the best at finding all the holes.
We should send both of our sons to, if anyone wants to have a child, we should
Yes.
send both our sons over. Just look after them for an hour and see how they get on.
Tell me how
really
you feel.
Prepare them for parenthood.
Yes, totally. Oh, I love it. I think that'd be fun. Oh, and then I'll come visit you in London, of course.
Oh yeah, you would love it here.
I need to come there. That's the same on my end. Like it's what is that movie, The Holiday? We don't need to swap home so we can take turns visiting each other.
Oh yeah, we should actually make it into a real life situation.
You guys,
Cool.
we're gonna totally, like, we're putting this on YouTube. This is gonna be the coolest thing ever. You're gonna film yourself when you're on your way.
This in. And then, oh my God, we are actually making a film right here.
Oh my
this is going to
gosh.
be the podcast of like the year,
For
because
real?
then we will both be millionaires this time next year as well.
Yes, and we'll say, go
And
back
then
and
we'll
listen
do
to this.
Then we'll do the house swap. We'll both, I'll be in America doing Disneyland. You'll be in London.
This is genius stuff happening, everybody.
Exactly. We will make this happen as
We
well.
are. We totally
in
will.
1 year, we need to actually So
Oh man. Anyway, okay, so we have that goal next year, February 5th, 2017.
yes.
Now
that
you have a
is-
deadline too. See, make your millionaire goal a little earlier, and then we'll already have the money, and we'll just be like, sure, let me just hop on a plane next week, and we'll make it happen.
Oh yeah. Do you know what I've always said as well, since I've been about 16, I will be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. So actually next year I'm going to be 30.
Oh wow.
So maybe this is actually maybe this will really start pushing me if I do actually
totally.
set that goal.
Do it.
So-
I definitely believe that you can do it. I think that you've got a lot going on, and I think you're going to do it. So
I think, do you know what, that's motivated me now. I'm going
Yay!
to write that down and do that. And come to America.
and
Then I
go
can fly
to
the flag.
Disneyland.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm excited. This will be so fun. See, the internet's amazing, everybody. Look at all the cool people you can meet when you put yourself out there and not be afraid.
But it's so true. Like, even with you starting your own podcast, me starting mine, who would have thought, a few months ago we would be connected, and we're
Right.
completely different time zones.
I know.
Like, here I'm in my pajamas, literally.
And I just got ready for the day.
Yeah, it's mental. That is crazy.
Okay, guys, so you heard it on today's podcast episode. Veena and I are now BFFs, and she's going to be coming out here to America next year. So you'll just have to chart both of our progress. I'll link all of her information in the show notes. Go check out everything she's doing and how amazingly gorgeous she is as a beautiful mom who will soon be a millionaire.
Yes, and you will as well.
Yes.
We're making this our goal. Don't laugh, Kirsten.
I'm sorry.
Because remember, your goal is for the end of the year. So if you don't do your goal, then I'll be like, oh, why should I do mine? So you have to be my inspiration. If you make $1 million by the end of the year, then I'll be like, yes, that's going to motivate me even more.
Yes. And then
So-
you'll only have a month to go from there, so you still have to keep it up.
So I better hurry up.
Yes. We'll race or something. Well, thank you so much for being on and taking time again to talk to me. I mean, it's been a joy for me. I'm glad we got to chat again. It's always fun to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much. And a massive congratulations on your podcast as well. Keep going. And I want to say to every single mum as well listening that we all need to stick together. I always feel I don't know what's it like in America, but sometimes there seems to be a lot of competition between mums and mums not supporting each other.
Totally.
So I just think we should all work together because, even if you're, even me and Kirsten, our podcasts are very similar, but, we're still supporting each other. So I think that's really important we're all in this together, as that film says, which I always forget his name.
High School Musical.
That's it. Is High School Musical.
Did we do that on our podcast before,
think
or
we
did I
did,
talk
yeah.
to somebody else about that? I'm like, was that you or was that someone else? Now I don't know. I'll never know. Oh, how funny. I love it. Yes. Oh, I forgot to ask you too, what makes you a marvelous mom?
What makes me a marvelous mum is that I am a go-getter and I want the best for my son in life and I want to inspire him. And I think I'm very good at kind of, just making us both energized. And I just always tell him every day that you can be whatever you want to be. But I think at his age, he doesn't understand because he said, "Oh, Mum, I'm going to be a zombie." So it doesn't really, doesn't work. But, at least I keep saying it to him. You can be whatever you want to be.
Oh, my gosh. I can't stop laughing. Oh, I love it. That is so perfect. Oh, it's wonderful. Kids say the darndest things.
When you dream your son is going to say something like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be an astronaut," and he's like, "Mum, I'm going to be a zombie." I was like, and when I'm just like, I can't say anything to that because I just told him he can be whatever he wants to be.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my son wants to be he wants to work at Disneyland or he wants to be a garbage truck driver. Those are some of the things he said. And I'm like, anything that's better.
Anything at all.
No offense to the garbage truck drivers. They make really good money, actually. So.
I was about to say that. It's actually quite a clever decision to be a garbage man because you get paid a lot. They're probably millionaires.
Probably.
Not
they
joking.
Invest correctly.
We're the ones losing out. We need to get on this garbage.
Oh my gosh, I'm having way too much fun. Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much, Veena. Again, everybody else, I hope you've smiled and had a lot of fun with us listening to our crazy banter. But anyway, thanks for being on. Thank you so much, Veena. You're wonderful.
Thank you so much. Oh, and definitely, I think I'm going to get Kirsten on the Mum to Millionaire podcast as well
great.
at some point. I think we'll do maybe in 6 months, I'm going to check up on you and see how far into your goal you are.
That sounds good. Let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Okay.
Yay.
Excited. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I will check you back on the next episode.